What's going on, y'all? Just chiming in. We all saw it. The Drink Champs interview with Ja Rule and Irv Gotti. Certain emotions and feelings were hurt within minutes of the show airing. I mean, Drink Champs got 1 million views in one day, 24 hours. Congratulations to Nori. On the same note, the incident with Irv Gotti shouting out Fat Joe can be taken into many perceptions. There's many ways to interpret what he was saying when Irv Gotti, was being interviewed by Nori, and he was breaking down not only the verses with Ja Rule and Fat Joe, but he also insinuated that they had some secret smoke for Fat Joe. Now, when I heard that, I can picture Fat Joe. You know he has one eye socket smaller than the other. And when he's trying to really listen to you, that eye gets smaller and smaller as he edges his ear toward you like. I can just picture him doing that. As soon as Irv Gotti said, we had some secret smoke, he was referring to Ja Rule, he was talking to him, and he was like, we had some secret smoke, we was talking, he had some shit, and then he thought about it for a while. After he said, if Fat Joe would have tried anything, he thought about it for a while. Then he quickly went on to say, Ja Rule's a battle rapper. He could have handled him. Now that could be interpreted in many different ways. As it could have been that Ja Rule had the personal dirt on Fat Joe that he was gonna unleash that day. If something would have happened, if something would have went wrong. I don't know. I'm just insinuating and I'm just chiming in, basing my opinion. But that right there could have been enough to set Fat Joe off, where he got on his Instagram and he addressed the situation. He even called Irv Gotti a sucker for that shit. And for calling Ashanti a bitch. He went and called J-Lo a bitch. So now you know he running around getting his little clout, dissing the Spanish folks. Bang, 1 million views in one day. I've been seeing all these other little, or bigger YouTube pages, channels, I should say, that's also been chiming in, been on that Hate Joe train. I mean, these people have history. It should not even go there. It should not be, this guy's a clout chaser, this guy is none of that. For me, Irv Gotti is another version of Dame Dash. That's why they can't work together. I know it's gonna be uncomfortable watching Irv Gotti on Drink Champs. I was already bracing myself like, oh, this guy's gonna be full of it. He gonna be talking mad shit. You know how Dame Dash get on his thing there, calling everybody culture vulture. And for me, to be honest, to be 100, absolutely, I think Dame Dash has been the biggest culture vulture in hip-hop history, period. And I'm not talking about the big executive that dropped the guap to get guap. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about burning the bridges. I'm talking about bullying your way. I'm talking about trying to do anything and stopping everybody from trying to make money off the culture. It's like you're saying, yo, I want a piece of that if you're making a piece of that. But going back to Fat Joe. The difference, I believe, that's the difference between Fat Joe and Irv Gotti is that, for one, this doesn't make Fat Joe any more leather-headed than Irv Gotti, but Fat Joe has been shot in the street. He's been cut in the neck. He's been through his trials and tribulations. From what I know, Irv Gotti, he's kind of been clout chasing the dealer scene. You know what I mean? chasing that bread that way. And so have Fat Joe. But Fat Joe has also come embedded in the streets where I actually know of Fat Joe from his graffiti days. When he was riding crack. Big as hell. Take out 1/4 of the block right with his name. Crack. And I also remember, I can recall a time when TS, which by the way, the real TS, not this commercial TS, the street TS, was from the high school, Morris. And they was kind of like a graffiti clique. So everybody was known and different and articulate with the graffiti. Everybody. I remember, for me, the most humble person in TS was Gizmo, rest his soul. Gizmo was the MC, he was the graffiti artist, and he was a peacemaker, man. He was a humble guy, man, but he would let anybody have it. Straight up. And I remember one time, the TS got together to go to the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and Fat Joe was there. Mind you, this is before Flo Joe, this is before all of that. And we was like 100 deep inside a wagon, a whole train wagon, man. I'm talking about these guys was relentless. These guys was like a human storm. Like, you seen that movie World War Z? Yeah, that was TS coming down whenever they got together to form Voltron. Yeah, and I remember this one time that we was on that train and we got to the Puerto Rican Day Parade. We didn't even make the parade. And these guys was already over everything, swarming, snatching flags, shirts. Somebody went to the hot dog stand, man, and snatched the hot dog. The hot dog man went crazy. Somebody caught him with the 2-piece, dropped him, and everybody raided the hot dog truck, including Fat Joe. I stuck my hand in the water, burned my hand in the hot dog water, thinking I was getting a soda. It was an open market. There was nobody attending the hot dog truck. Everybody got chips, hot dogs, soda, whatever was on there, pretzels. The Jump Out Boys came out of the parade, started chasing people down. Fat Joe's always been that elephant in the room, not hard to spot. They grabbed him, tussled him to the ground. He never made the parade that year. And I almost didn't make the parade either, had it not been for Giz, that he had this graffiti shirt, and he said, "Shorty, grab one of these. Shirts. Whoa, boom. Bled right past the police with shirts. We was in the parade, like in no time. We looked back, everybody was caught, everybody in the scene. This was when the Jump Out Boys was the Jump Out Boys. Now, there is a lot of history that goes on with Murder Inc. and TS, the commercial rapping TS. At a time when Fat Joe lost Big Pun, Ja Rule extended his hand, and they pretty much blessed Fat Joe with a track just to get him back on his feet because of the loss that he took, not only physically, mentally, spiritually, but financially as well. So there's history there. Ashanti, bless her soul. They got history back in Africa. Fat Joe said the story many of times where they was kidnapped, held hostage, Ja Rule, Fat Joe, and they even wanted Ashanti, but she smelled it. Ashanti smelled it and did not go to Africa, while Fat Joe and Ja Rule is being held by the guerrilla warfare dudes. Who knows what the hell is going on over there? Just feeding them cash just to keep the party going. There is a lot of history. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Now, to be honest, another revelation on Gen Champs was that Irv Gotti was messing. He was blazing Ashanti. That was a shock to me. Nobody really had to know that, but he had to put it out there that he had at one time one of the baddest broads in the game now. Because everybody looks at Ashanti now, and she's just getting better with age. Everybody out there drinking that beer, She's informed on you by being at wine, because wine tastes better with age. And if you look at Ashanti right now, you would drool. I would say she was a little ugly back in the days before the money. You know what the money does to you. She is bad as hell. I hope they can resolve this, not behind the doors, but I hope they do this on social media, because it's going to be something worth to look at. I understand Irv Gotti is probably pushing, because he is a marketing genius above everything else. You heard the story. He said how he had got the video people to play his songs in multiple zip codes. His strategy was genius. So for all we know, this is the publicity stunt, because he's dropping the Murder Inc. documentary followed by the movie. And yes, we're here talking about it because we want to see what's the deal. We want to see the dirt. We want to see the grime. That dirty part of YouTube, it don't sleep. Just lurking. But the original TS, man, I just gotta give them mad props, because they was more like street commandos. I was affiliated with street commandos, you know. TS had their little parts that they was dealing with the drug dealers, the little street commandos in the industry, you know, little segments of the group were involved in different things. Some just stood street commandos. Some evolved, turned to chemical dependency. Some evolved, became somebody in the industry. I remember seeing the likes of Lord Finesse in the hood. I remember seeing Big L in the hood. They used to hang in, all this talk about Harlem, they used to hang in the Bronx. I remember the Nice and Smooth coming through with the Jeeps. One said nice, the other one said smooth, on the back of the spare tire, and neon letters. So the history runs real deep with the TS, more than Fat Joe will let you know, and he has in some occasions. But in the industry effect, as far as Irv Gotti, which I didn't really hear too much from Irv Gotti while the verses was going on with Ja Rule and Fat Joe. And that struck me kind of weird, because Fat Joe did keep it real with Irv Gotti when he got into the beef with 50 Cent. And Fat Joe being a real individual that he is, because unlike what everybody says, one thing you cannot deny is that Fat Joe is a real cat. Real dude, solid, 100%. With who he chooses to be real with. When he's real with you, he's riding with you. He's kind of like Pac in that sense. Or so I've heard. So yeah, so just to keep it short and simple, there is a lot of history. And Fat Joe did keep it 100 with Irv and that whole Murder Inc. camp, while they was going through their tribulation with the feds, and while they was going through the beef with 50, which, by the way, he was getting crazy. He was getting deadly. And Fat Joe held it down. He could have easily switched backed up. But once you Team Joe, and that's it. He running with you. He ain't gonna flip no sides unless you give him a reason to. Also, that's perception I got from him. Big shout out to TS. Big shout out to Fat Joe. Big shout out to Nori. I know that was an uncomfortable situation. Ja Rule was right in the middle. I know that's an uncomfortable situation because Fat Joe and Ja Rule, they honchos right there. So Ja Rule is really put in the spot with everybody. And that's not going to change. He just got to remain his humble self. Keep it just as official as Fat Joe has kept it with them. I'm chiming in. I'm chiming out, I mean. Thank you for watching this video. Press like, subscribe, share this page. This is the Turd reaction, you heard?